All right. We have the Mother's Day special segment today. Lacey, offensive coordinator, and arena football player, quarterback, Warren Smith. Success story we got. So we're going to have some fun today with Warren Smith. Good. Get him. So you should be your 5, 4, 3. What's up there, Coach Warren Smith? What's up? That was quick, man.
Hey, I'm on it, man. I got quick fingers. What's going on, Coach? How are we?
You're a lot quicker than Coach Priscillo doing this. It's looking like
That's okay. He does a lot of good things, though.
Well, hey, you got, you're special. I heard the ratings were between you and the Jordan documentary tonight. So
No, that's why we're at 7 o'clock. We're like the prelims.
Actually, Jordan requested for me to put you at 7 because he didn't want to mix up the ratings with his thing. So I told him I would with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that also.
Yes. And all the mothers out there are focusing on our conversation right now in between their desserts for tonight. So
yeah, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there watching.
And happy Mother's Day to you too. Yeah, great, Coach. I'm glad you're on. I'm really honored to have you on the show. You're the 24th guy that we interviewed here. The purpose of my show is for my program and my community to see successful people that are connected with me somehow, and we kind of intermix to see how we are connected and explain your process of where you are. Because what our kids see is like you where you're at and don't know the history of some people. So that's what this show is all about. Because it's all about the process, just like when you're coaching with the kids, we play small amount of games, but the process to get there is, to me, is really just as rewarding as the wins and losses on Friday, Saturday.
Absolutely, Coach.
Let me introduce you, Coach, because you are a success story. And I've been watching you from afar. I was very fortunate to coach with Coach Lou Versillo, I think, for 6 years. And when I came to Barnegat, still stayed real tight with him, talked to him 3 to 5 times a week. So I basically know his kids in the program because he speaks so highly of you guys. Yeah. You were a freshman. Many, many years ago playing, and you were splitting reps with another quarterback. But there was something about you that you had the leadership skills. You were smaller. You had all of those things that you're like, I just wish he was taller. I just wish he was a little stronger. And when you talk to your kids as a coach now, you can use yourself as an example, like stay with it, because when you hit that growth spurt, good things will happen. And that's what happened to you. And watching you from afar and seeing you grow to all of a sudden you were a major contributor your junior year, where you started defense and you kind of split time with was it Kieran Dooley? Ryan Dooley, where you won a state championship, threw 2 touchdowns. I think it might have been both to
McAndrew and Vinny Alardo.
I was there, and being a big part of winning that championship, and then 2 years later playing college football at Division I level. Your program folded at Iona. You now go to Maine. I want to hear that process, how it came. And you're playing Syracuse, and you threw for 300 yards against Syracuse. Like, you were getting better. I remember talking to Syracuse coach when he came into our school recruiting our kids, saying, I knew you, and you just, like, you were off star. And like, you could have played at Syracuse. You were a dude. You torched them for 300 yards in that game, and you just got better and better and better. And all good things come to an end, but it hasn't come to an end yet for you. You're still playing football, arena football, in between coaching with the season right there. So we're going to talk about that today. Actually, you are that story. I want to hear the process and how you got there, because it's a great story with that. So let's start off with quarantining. As a coach for 20, 25, 27 years, I can't tell my kids through experience what's happening here with the coronavirus. So we're all experiencing it together. From your end, what are you doing in your household, just staying quarantined? How's it doing in your household?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely different, and you know, as you said, every school right now is kind of behind the eight ball with this whole thing. So you just got to try to find some ways to get a hold of your kids, and really when it comes down to it, man, you got to tell your kids what you expect of them, and then they got to become accountable. It's like I was telling my high school kids, man, it's like you guys are almost like in college now. Like you got to manage your own time. You got to find ways to work out on your own. It's like time management thing. So what Coach V and I have put together, I've been going to his house 3 times a week, just meeting with him and talking about X and O's. And we made a couple squad leaders, and we have the squad leaders in charge of X amount of kids, and those kids are reporting to their squad leaders, and then the squad leaders are reporting to us. And now, are we watching these kids work out? No, which I wish we were there watching them work out. But like I said, we're trying to have these squad leaders hold them accountable. And they put together, they do body weight workouts. Or some of them are lucky enough to have a gym in their house, maybe. But we're just trying to get the most out of them right now. And they're reporting back to us, and we're just trying to communicate, stay on the same page. And the kids, and the kids realize that we're in a time right now where no one's ever been here before. So the kids are embracing it. You know, they're doing their body weight workouts and whatever they can do. And, you know, we're just taking it day by day. We're just hoping that this thing gets all fixed and we can get back in the weight room together and start pushing these kids.
Now, talking to Coach Priscillo every day, I mean, he's got, a great wealth of experience out there, stuff that, you know, I would just love to be at his level. But with all the stuff he's accomplished, now with technology, is something different because he's an older coach, and usually the younger coaches know more about technology, Zoom, and all that stuff. This is a new thing for him. Have you been talking to him about how now he's going to have to communicate via Zoom or Google Classroom?
Yeah, I mean, he's learning it, just like all of us are. I mean, obviously he's a little older, so he's not as computer sound as some of us. But, I mean, that's why we get coaches like myself, Coach Dubiello, Coach D'Amico. We'll head over there, help him out with his computer, and get him all set up. And once he's set up, you know, he's just same old Coach V, and he's good at it. He likes the Zoom. He actually loves the Zoom. We have our department meetings. We have our department meetings. He's always on it, and you know, he's watching online clinics and stuff now. So he's learning just like we all are right now.
Yeah, he's funny, man. He does try to turn on the computer, but he has everybody fooled. He does. You know, even though
he does. He does know. Don't let it fool you. He knows what's going on.
Guys, and he's watching right now as we speak too. So that's great, man. But this quarantine, you know, talking to Coach Sicardo, who coached you, who loves you, you're his boy. You're a great Sicardo boy. He showed me, because he coaches now at college in New Jersey, what he does with his quarterbacks. He does Zoom practices with them, and it's funny. He showed me the video. They're in their their dining room. They're in these small confined areas doing drop back and throwing a ball in the air, and you know simulating that stuff.
Yeah.
Creative, you know, as coaches and the players too. Because when we start the season in a couple months, you know, we're going to forget about this, hopefully. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really. So, do you wash your hands thoroughly?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got a little side job that I'm doing, and they're making me wash my hands 24/7.
20 seconds do you go, or do you guesstimate?
They say you're supposed to say the alphabet, but I don't do that.
Alphabet. I've never heard that. That's a good one.
Yeah, wash your hands. You say the alphabet. That's what they said.
I go Mississippi. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
There you go.
Question. I'm a stickler with rules, and you know, Coach Priscillo is. If I'm going 20 seconds and I pull out for some reason after 8, do I start back up at 9 seconds, or do I go back to 0 to do it? What do you assume?
I would say if you pull out at 8, then you hit back at 9. I don't think you start going. You'll be sitting there washing your hands all day.
Good. Which I do. And social distancing, you're okay with 6 feet away?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good 6 feet away from everybody. Yep, absolutely.
Are we expecting maybe no huddle at Lacey this year with social distancing maybe taking a little?
I mean, we the last couple of years we sprinkled in our no huddle a little bit from what I did in college, but I mean we're gonna do whatever it takes. We think it's gonna win. If it takes, you know, change up the tempo and go a little faster, maybe we'll do that. But if it goes, or you know, typical Lacey, get in the huddle and get in the eye and come right at you.
All right, that's all the things we teach teaching the kids with quarantine and wash your hands, social distancing. those D coordinators are telling you to put your hand in the dirt and corral to the football and create pileups. So they're contradicting the quarantine.
Yeah.
But that's their defensive guys.
Right, absolutely.
Awesome. Hey, Coach, now this whole segment of our shows that we do is about the process. You know, right now, everybody knows you're the offensive coordinator at the traditional state-powered Lacey Township High School. But I want to know, and so does everybody else, how did you get to where you're at right now? So take me back on your days when you first were able to play Pop Warner at Lacey and guide us right through every step into college and to where you are right now. I want to hear the process.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I started football a little late. I didn't start when I was 7. I started when I was 9. My parents didn't really want me to play when I was younger. So at age 9, I started at Lacey Pop Warner, and I went through the whole Pop Warner ranks. You know, Mighty Mikes, Junior Pee-wees, Pee-wees, and then the midgets. Had a lot of success in Pop Warner. We didn't lose many games with a lot of good coaches down there that were volunteering their time, like the Pandor family, Bob Ferrara. I can name the coaches forever. Helstowski. We had a bunch of great coaches down there at the Pop Warner level that got us through, and we developed this winning habit at Lacey. And then from after Pop Warner, we had a lot of success. I went to high school, like you kind of mentioned earlier. Started with the freshman program with Coach Fornoff, and obviously Coach Versillo was the head coach. And freshman year, like you said, I split time at quarterback, played some defense. Sophomore year, same thing. I kind of played JV, split time a little bit, and I held varsity field goals as a sophomore. Again, I was smaller. I didn't hit my growth spurt until midway through junior and senior year. So I was a JV guy my sophomore year. Did all the special teams though, and then my junior year it kind of all just came together. I got a little bit bigger and faster and stronger from the weight room with Coach V's strength program, and we ended up having a storybook year. We ended up going 12-0. We had a lot of success. Coach Chicardo was calling the offense, and we ended up winning. We ended up beating Seneca, and I had a couple touchdowns like you mentioned earlier. And then my senior year I came back and I was a starter, full-time starter. And I started on defense. And I had a good year my senior year. We made it all the way to the final. And we lost to Shawnee, to a great Shawnee team with LaPierre running the ball. It was tough. And we lost 23-20. So that was my high school career. And I think during that high school time, I fell in love with football. And I feel like I knew I was going to be coaching eventually one day. I didn't know which level I was going to coach. But just from having so much success in football and understanding what it takes to be a successful team and player, I fell in love with the process like we're talking about now. And I knew down the road that I was going to be a coach somewhere, somehow. So the following year, I was during my senior year, I was getting recruited. And I wasn't heavily recruited. I was getting recruited by your local Division III teams, the Canes, Montclairs, the Rowans. And I was shooting for the stars. I wanted to play at the highest level possible. So I told Coach V, contact every possible coach you can think of. And, he has a lot of connections. So I sent my stuff out to everyone. I didn't get many replies, but the one that stood out was Iona College. I never even heard of Iona. And Coach V reached out to Fred Mariani, who was the head football coach, and was like, I have a quarterback that's interested to play. And it was funny because it was late in the recruiting process, and they were like, "Yeah, can he come up this weekend for a recruiting trip?" So Coach V comes to me in school. I'll never forget it. I was in the library. He's like, "You got to go on a visit this weekend to Iona College." I'm like, "Where's Iona College, Coach? Never heard of it." And it's funny because Iona's in New Rochelle, New York. And I called my mom 2 seconds later. I'm like, "Mom, I got a chance to go on an official visit to Iona College. I never heard of it. Where's Iona College?" Like, Iona College. See, my mom went to high school at New Rochelle High School. Oh wow! And my mom used to tell me the crazy stories how she used to cut class and run through a college campus. That college campus was actually Iona. So, long story short, my mom just took me up to the visit, and I got there. And right when I got there, Fred Mariani was waiting for me. He's like, "Hey, you're accepted. You're into school if you want to come here." So I just told my mom, I was like, "I'm coming here." I walked around the school for an hour, small little school in New York City, and I fell in love with it. And so I went there my freshman year. I was one of 7 freshman quarterbacks, and and there was three upperclassmen in front of us. We had 10 quarterbacks, and we had a quarterback coach named John Caleo, who, long story short, for him, he was an arena football all-star back in the day, and back in the 90s. He was our offensive coordinator. He played at Maryland for a couple of years, and we threw the ball every play. But before I got into playing, we had camp, and I ended up beating out all the freshman quarterbacks, and I ended up being the number 2 quarterback going into the year. And kind of like in high school, kind of how it was in high school. Like, our starter was doing good, and our coach would throw me in for a couple of drives. So, like, I played against Wagner, had a couple touchdowns against Wagner. Then we played Stonehill the next week, and I ended up playing against Stonehill. And then our starting quarterback broke his foot. We got a Liz Frank injury. So then I started the rest of the way. And again, I went from tight end, 2 running backs, that Lacey, to shotgun, empty every play. So it was a big transition for me, just learning and understanding coverages and that, and that part of it. But it was great. And the rest of the year, we went 3-7. We weren't that good, but I got a lot of experience, college experience. Like, I played against University of Maine, Stony Brook, UC Davis, Pace, a bunch of other schools I played against. And the year was good. And the year ended. We actually played University of Maine, got our butt kicked by them. But towards the end of the year, there was rumors floating around that the program might get dropped. And hold on 1 second. My dog's crying. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. My fault about that.
What was going through your mind? What went through your mind when you heard these rumors?
It was crazy. I was like upset because I had 4 or 5 guys from the short conference that were on my team at Iona that I became really close friends with. We were talking about getting a house together, getting an apartment together, or whatever. The guys, like, I don't know if you guys remember the names, like Jeremy Dink and Colt Snack, Pat Campbell, Middletown South, Chance Carrick, Howell. We were all, Steve Hoverson, Middletown North. We were all together, and we were about to be roommates. We were best friends. We were freshmen. We were all playing, and boom, the news hit, and it was like, wow, what are we going to do? For us, I felt really bad for the juniors and seniors, that were coming back, because when you can't really transfer when you have all those credits built up. You lose a lot of the credits when you go. So it was terrible news. People were crying. People were freaking out about it.
Tell me now, that transition, how you got to Maine, and what did the coach do for you to get you to Maine, or where else were you looking at?
So once it dropped, it was on the bottom line of ESPN. Now, I know the football drops the program. So I don't know if you know, but if a program drops, you have a free transfer year. Like, so basically what our coach did, he had an open house, kind of like how high schools do. He had an open house for colleges to come. So we walked through our gym, and every Division III college was in our big gym. And there were some other big colleges. And basically just walked around and gave my DVD to everybody and said, hey, hope you like my film. Maybe you can contact me and we'll go from here. So, but while that was happening, University of Maine has already reached out to me. And because we played against them, they had film on me, and they liked me. I was talking to them. I was talking to, where was I talking? Stony Brook. I went on an official visit to Stony Brook, and I even had Kansas State reach out to me for a preferred walk-on type of thing. But none of that really worked out. And Maine was in the playoffs at the time, so they really weren't communicating as much as I thought they were gonna. But once their playoff run ended, I mean, the coach came to my house over winter break, so I'm home now. And I'm already got my transfer paper, so I'm not going back to Iona. And so the office coordinator called me. He's like, we're going to come to your house. So he came to my house over Christmas break, and we had a good sit down, like good house interview type thing. And then like 2 weeks later, they called me up and they're like, we're going to offer you a full scholarship. So I didn't even take my visit, because I already visited there. We played them. We got a butt kick. And all I can really remember was their defensive end, who was in the NFL for 5 years, sacked me 4 or 5 times, and how cold it was. So, and I was like, I don't care, I'm going. All I want to do is play football. So I got up there and got there my spring, my freshman year spring semester. I got there so I can do spring ball.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is And you played for 3 years there, right?
Yep. So after my freshman year, we did spring ball, and the following year, my sophomore year, I didn't redshirt. I went into the year as the backup quarterback again. It was because our playoff guy, our playoff quarterback, was returning, and kind of like how it worked at Iona and Lacey. I started just getting certain drives. Coach throw me in, and the week 4, I'll never forget it. We were playing Syracuse, and Friday morning in the hotel before the game, Coach Cosgrove was like, "Warren, you're starting." I'm like, "I'm starting? What do you mean I'm starting? Like, I haven't started yet all year." So we were going up against Chandler Jones, who's still playing in the NFL now, defensive end. They had a tough team, and but we had some good players. We had some really good skill players, and we were good. And Syracuse was a little bit better than us because they were a 1A powerhouse type team. Yeah. I played against the quarterback Greg Paulus, the Duke point guard. He was the quarterback, and had a good game. We almost beat them at halftime. We're up, we're all fired up. They ended up just beating us at the end, but it was a great game. And from there on out, I started the rest of the year, and that was my sophomore year. And then I broke my foot at the end of it. Then my junior year, I came back. We had a little bit better year. We went like 5-5 or something like that. Had some mishaps here and there. And then in my senior year, we just turned it on. We had like a bunch of 3-year starters coming back. We all stayed up there for the whole summer. Didn't come home at all. We worked out. We bought in. We bought in, and we ended up having a great senior year. We went like 9-3. We beat Appalachian State in the playoffs. We went down to Georgia Southern in the semifinals. We ended up losing. If we would have won, we would have ended up playing Carson Wentz in North Dakota. It was pretty cool, man. It was good. It was fun. It was a great time playing. I loved it. I learned so much because coming from Lacey, where I was under center, to Iona, where I was in gun every play, to Maine, where we were no huddle, but we were multiple. So I saw all 3 styles of football in like 5-6 years. It was really cool. And my senior year was great. We had a great year. We made a good run. We were number 4 in the country at one point. And all things come to an end in college. So I ended up graduating, and that was really my college career.
Hey, we'll talk about your arena in a second. I want to get to your playing days right now. So you talked about your college playing days. Talk to me briefly about your playing days at Lacey, growing up to now you're being coached by legendary Lou Versillo in a state power program right there. And you had a goal that I remember Lou telling me, Coach Vic telling me at the freshman game, because you were playing at our place, and he said, "See that kid? He's got a heart of gold, loves to win. I just wish he was bigger." And he goes, when he gets bigger, he's going to be a good one. He said it because, period. You were always pumped up. Your demeanor, people play for you. And I've noticed that from afar. Got to see you in All-Star games and seeing you the way you are. You're a winner. You're a true leader. And tell us about your Lacey days, quarterback, not defensive back, as a quarterback.
Oh, it was good. Lacey days were crazy, man. It was like you mentioned, freshman year. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be the starting quarterback for the freshman team. I was battling. I was splitting reps. And then my sophomore year, same thing. I was playing JV. I was playing special teams, but I really wasn't. I was playing scout quarterback, and I'll never forget the seniors on my sophomore year. Like, kids that are watching this now, when you're a sophomore, you hate the scout teams. You get beat up by all the bigger, stronger upperclassmen. When I was a sophomore, I had some really good studs on defense that I was playing against, like Andrew Carino, Joey Pandor, Jeff Townsend, Johnny Roth, Randy Honeycutt, Matt Feeney, all these guys. They were the seniors. They were the best. That was the best defense I ever played against in high school. And I was going against them every day in the scout team, getting my butt kicked. And they made me tougher. They really did. They made me tougher. I remember vividly. We were running Tom Drummer-East's offense, and I was running the triple option. And we were running it. We were running it as hard as we can, and I was getting blasted by these guys. And they turned around and they were like, "Wow, you're tough, man. You're taking some hits." And I was hurting. The neck, don't get it fooled. I was hurting. And I was only like 5'8", $140. So that was my sophomore year. I was a scout guy and a holder. And then my junior year, I hit that spurt. I hit Coach Ricardo and helped me out in the weight room. We had a great weight room program going. And then junior year was like, I didn't start the season off as playing at all, really. I was just playing special teams again. We had a senior quarterback.
Program. We're in a program. See, the great programs don't need a quarterback for 3 years. turn. You have your dude. You have your dude.
Yeah.
You waited for your turn, which was when you played as a junior. When you got the call, you produced, and then your senior year was yours. That's great, Coach. Pop Warner quarterbacks, and I say this all the time, that I don't get overly concerned. Aim at the Pop Warner level, quarterbacks aren't as strong because the receivers on the Pop Warner level don't get a chance to maximize a lot of their talents because the kids aren't as strong to throw a football.
Right.
Yep. Best throw with the line. The game has to evolve a little bit differently for the quarterbacks and linemen to get the skill kids to football receiver. That's why it's usually a running back's game. But as a quarterback, it's hard to really get those reps at the lower level until you start getting to the high school level. Your senior year, at what point did you know that you were going to be a college or going to be playing college football?
I feel like I knew after my junior year. My junior year, when we won the state title, I threw a couple touchdowns in the state game. I knew I was coming back. My goal was to play college football somewhere. I didn't know where, but it was going to be the highest level possible. And I just trained myself for it. Like I worked out the off season as hard as I possibly can. Played 3 sports too. Played basketball and baseball, which it's unfortunate you don't see that as often anymore. But I believe those other sports helped me out with football. Whether it was hand-eye coordination in basketball or patience in baseball. But my senior year was great. We had a great year. We had a good run. We had some great players, Pandora, McMurs, R.J. Rowe, Mancini. All those kids were studs. And they made my job easier as a quarterback. So there were some games we only threw the ball 5 or 6 times because we didn't need it. I'll never forget, we went to the wall. We played Blaise Caponegro and Timmy Wright. He's in the NFL now. And I went 5 for 6 passing and 3 touchdowns. And that was it. We just ran waggle, and that was it. But again, you know what? In the Northeast, I really believe you have to be able to run the ball. But you have to, if you want to be a successful team in the Northeast in high school, especially at the high school level, you got to be able to run the football because there's going to come a time where the rain hits, it gets cold, it's windy, and when you're relying on throwing the ball every snap, it's hard. So for us, we were lucky enough just to have such a good offensive line, good running back, good coaches, and we wore teams down. And then occasionally we'll hit them with a play action and we'll throw it over the top. So I loved it, man. I loved it.
It's funny. I deal with a lot of college recruiting through the years, as you know. It's not about stats. It's not when you're looking at kids getting recruited. They don't look for a quarterback that's thrown for 7,000 yards or 75 touchdowns. They look for a quarterback that can get it done on their level. And you might throw one throw on your film that a college coach likes, and that might get his interest with that. You don't need to do the statistical thing, and that's for any position, because they want to see if you have the potential to do it for them, and that's it. And they shut that's it. So that's a great thing with you. Because you didn't get a start for some years at Lacey and still Florida college and then playing, and the game hasn't been taken away from you yet, and you still have opportunities. Now, my buddy's an NFL agent. He's trying to get a hold of you. He wants to. He told me, he goes, I want to about Warren Smith because you're at the tips of all these arena, everybody, you're like a hot recruit for all these arena football. Tell me about your experience with arena football in the offseason.
Yeah, so you want to start my beginning of my arena career?
Tell me something.
Yeah, well, listen, I fell in love with this arena football game, and it's totally different than what we're used to on the outdoor field.
You're like a rock star.
Yeah, you get one receiver gets a running start. Yep, no doubt. And it's 8-on-8, 3 linemen, 1 fullback, 3 receivers, and a quarterback. And you play on a field that's 26 yards wide, 50 yards long. So it's a quarter of a real football field. But it's very fast. And it makes you, for a quarterback, it's almost like you contradict some of your stuff that you teach your kids because you're throwing off your back foot sometimes. You're taking a 1-step drop rather than a 3-step drop sometimes. But, I fell in love with it. Back in 2013, I just while I was coaching at Kane, I wanted to keep playing. I felt like I could still play, and I wanted to play like the NFL, CFL route, but it's not for everybody, and it's hard to get in. So someone, brought up this whole arena thing to me, and I basically made a highlight film of my college career, and the 1 year I went to Germany in 2012. I did an outdoor year over there for a year, and I came back and I made a little highlight film, and I sent it out to every arena football team possible. And I was Facebooking coaches. That's when Facebook was kind of new. I was Facebooking coaches, emailing coaches, just to try to get a shot. And then this one coach, James Fuller, down in Richmond, took a chance on me, and I started my career down with the Richmond Raiders in Virginia. And we had a good year. Made it to the championship game, lost, but from there it was just every year I've been playing with a new team. I've never really played with a team back-to-back years besides one team. Just because it's always like coaches move, teams fold. It's one of those unstable businesses that when it's going, it's good though. So yeah, I've been playing for 8 years now. I played in Virginia. I played in Tampa Bay. I played in Trenton.
Your last season, you were in Atlantic City, the Blackjacks.
Yeah, last year I played for Atlantic City Blackjacks. It was great. It was good being at home because I can manage my teaching schedule and that at the same time, which isn't really easy. Like everyone's got to be lenient with my because when it comes down to it, my teaching job is most important. So my coaches have to understand that I'm not going to be able to make them in practice. So that's why I'm not always penciled in as the starter initially. And but this year I ended up starting towards the end of the year because the quarterback in front of me got hurt. And I started like 5 or 6 games. We won a couple games. It was fun. But I mean, I fell in love with the arena game. It's great.
This is during your off season, which you're still teaching. So did you ever hobble into school with maybe a twisted knee or twisted ankle from over the weekend playing a little football game?
Yeah. I've had some turf burn, and I have blood seep through my shirt. My kids are like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." But no, I mean, I've been lucky enough that I have too many injuries. This year I broke my foot, but it was in the summertime. So the kids didn't see me until school started. I was in the booth. So yeah, and that's part of it. Football, you're gonna get hurt. Occasionally, you're gonna get hurt. That's every sport, not just football. But yeah, sometimes you're banged up a little bit, but it is what it is, man. And like I said, I love playing, so that's my goal. I just keep playing because I love it, and that's what drives me, to be honest.
You got a lot of people believing in you. The more people that get to know you, your followers become more and more evident with social media. And when you go into the city to play in arena football, they love you. You're a fiery guy. It's hard not to like a guy like you. You're a winner, and you just got to root for you. You're not the bad guy. You're the good guy, which is great. I love watching your films on arena football. Coach, let's talk about now this great program that I got a chance to coach it for 6 seasons at Lacey. But I wouldn't be up for it if I didn't coach Lou Versillo. Tell me something now. Coming back to your program that you played it, that you were building your way up to playing in it, and now coming back and giving back what you're doing right now. What's your feel coaching at your that you went to?
Oh, I love it, to be honest, man. I feel like it would be hard for me to coach anywhere else, to be honest. And when I came back to coach, man, all I wanted to do was I remember my time in high school and how much fun I had and how much success we had. And honestly, I'm driven to get our kids to get that feeling. I want our kids to love high school football and to have a great experience like I did. It's like I feel like everyone that loves sports and loves football should experience what I experienced in high school. And that's to win as many games you possibly can, maybe a state title, and become super, super close with your friends, which I'm still best friends with to this day. And that's what drives me. And then obviously, the X's and O's part, competitiveness, and just making this town appreciate football like they always have been. And I didn't want us to go like this. I wanted us to keep going like this. So I felt like with my past in arena football and college that I could help out the program. And now it doesn't have sense.
Lacey football is about tradition. And when I coached there, I was an outsider. I had no connection with Lacey, and I'm an outsider. when you're an outsider, you got to prove yourself because they're very territorial. But know that you coming back, you're one of the guys. You're a homegrown guy. They love you. They love you. The kids love you. The fans love you. Of course, your coach and all that. I mean, that was incredible. You coming back, and I mean, the future is very bright with you still there. And let's talk about the future right now. If I told you 10 years from now, where would you be? Where do you envision yourself being from 10 years from now?
Well, I hope to have, a family, some kids, and I would hope to be a head football coach, maybe at Lacey Township. I would love to be a head football coach.
Coach Priscillo still will be there. I'm going to put money on it.
Oh, yeah. Coach Lee's not going anywhere. That's all right, though. It's all right. So, just being underneath him, learning from him, there's so much I've learned from him over the years. From when I was a player to when I was in college, coming back, and then now to coaching with him, man. You see every side of it, and it's really amazing what he's done the last 40-some-odd years he's been doing it. And, he has a really good niche for grasping his team and understanding his team and getting the most out of his players, whether the players are really, really talented or the players aren't so talented. He will find a way to squeeze the orange and get everything out of them. And then when he has those good teams and he squeezes the oranges out of them, better watch out. Those teams are really, really good.
How important is it for you to be on that staff when Coach B gets his 300th win this season?
Oh, it'd be great. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know he don't really like to talk about it, but I mean, as assistant coaches, we've been eyeballing it. We know when, where it could happen. And that's going to be a big day for us when we get to it. And hopefully we get to it this year, if we strap it up and play this year. I think he's like 6 or 7 away, I believe. So he's there. He's going to get it, and he deserves it. He deserves it, man. He's done so much for the program, the school, the town, the community, and the Shore Conference. He's a legend. He's a legend. So I don't mind sitting behind him and learning. I think we're all learning from him. I think other head coaches still learn from him. Yeah, it's great stuff. He's a great person too. He takes care of you, loyal. If you ever need anything, he's the first one there for you. So I appreciate Coach Priscillo and everything he's done for me. And now I'm just trying to help him out, try to win as many games at Lacey as possible, and get a state title back here eventually.
Loves having you, Stupiello. Who's the other one?
The group.
Yeah, all you alumni guys coming back and doing it. He's got 294 wins, I believe it is. Yeah. 6'4" to get 300. I mean, he's a living legend. I mean, I love telling people I'm associated with him. Show yourself too. Anybody that's been in his program has benefited from having him in their life. Good family, all that stuff. Coach,
yeah, great. That's funny, man. You see how many head coaches out there, including yourself, that have been underneath him at one point. He lays the yellow brick road out for you, man. He explains what he shows you what to do. Then you guys go off and you guys twist it your own little way, but your roots from Coach V.
It's funny because I still keep in touch with him 5 times a week, sometimes multiple days. It's funny. He's very bored during the quarantine. My phone,
you have no idea.
Sometimes in between his gardening. What are you doing? What's this? What's that? But we got to get out of this quarantine because he needs to be out, just like all us coaches, with the players and what we're doing. Coach, thanks for coming on our show on a Mother's Day special right here. I'll let you go enjoy the Jordan documentary. I'm sure Michael's watching this right now.
Yeah.
So, after shows, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're a success story, and your resume is ongoing, and it's a bright future. And I'm proud to be associated with you. Really.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate you having me on. This show was great.
All right, Coach.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right. Thanks, Coach. See you soon.